Time to rest, but you say run. A fanfic by FeatheredMask. Chapter 2, 51586. Summary for this chapter. Izuku learns All Might has kids. He's no closer to discovering the secret connecting the numbers, but he has more questions. The beach was supposed to be empty of people. Nobody went there anymore because of all the junk piled on it after all. But there was somebody there, and it wasn't All Might, who had started training Izuku just a few months before in anticipation of taking on his quirk for his entrance into UA. Two people, actually, both blonde, sitting atop separate mounds of junk, and they both noticed the newcomer in a teal tracksuit as soon as Izuku came down the hill to the sands. "What's the green twerp doing here?" "Kachan? What are you doing here?" Izuku blurted out before he could stop himself. The other blonde, a teenager like them, burst into laughter. "Kachan? He calls you Kachan?" "Shut up." Katsuki growled and threw an empty soda can across the distance at him. "He's a guy from my class. What are you doing here anyway, twerp?" "Training," Izuku answered honestly, as he looked up at the two of them. Just like the entirety of their class at Aldera, Katsuki was also aiming to get into UA, but he had the type of quirk that was bound to do well in heroism. To match up to someone with his level of confidence, even with All Might's quirk, Izuku figured he would have to train a lot. "I didn't think anyone else came here." "Nah, we noticed our dad was coming here, so we're waiting out for him this time," Katsuki said, not deigning to come down from his throne of scrap. "Wait, your dad?" The other teen hopped down, rolling on the sand to break the relatively short fall, and he bounced right back up to meet Izuku. "Yagi Neito, at your service. May's going to scream when I tell her there's someone else who calls him Kachan." Izuku looked between Neito and Katsuki, the latter of whom was seething, explosions popping in his hands, but his glancing turned into a stare when he noticed the number tattoo on Neito's neck. A string of numbers, uncovered by Neito's loose jacket, in the same place as Katsuki's tattoo. 51586. "I didn't know you had another brother," was all he said. Neito laughed. "You and Sho never told your friend, Kachan?" He called out to his brother. "For shame." "He's not my friend, you useless copycat." "Ah, well." Neito sighed, taking his hand for a moment in some form of greeting. His smile faltered for a moment, giving Izuku an odd look. "We have two sisters," is what he's trying to say. "No, I'm not. Stop telling him things." Neito continued. "And your name?" "Midoriya Izuku," he introduced himself, trying to collect himself and not stare at Neito's neck. A glance up at Katsuki proved he wasn't wearing a high collar or his choker either, and he was suddenly curious to read those numbers again. "Sorry, I'm supposed to be training." "And training you should be." "All Might." Izuku whirled around to see All Might standing there in all his glory, his hero form tall and imposing across the sun. "And Dad has arrived," Neito said. Katsuki huffed and jumped down. "Finally. You kept us waiting, old man." All Might laughed at those lackluster reactions to the number one hero, making Izuku freeze. "Yes," he said, his voice booming. "It is I, Dad Might." Then with a poof, the man became a scrawny skeletal echo of himself, blood tinging his lips as he coughed, but the smile remained as bright as it could. "I really thought I was being sneaky when I was coming out here." "Didn't take much to track you," Katsuki said. "Momo even read up on trackers we could stick on your clothes when you went out." Izuku whirled around in circles, trying to make sense of everything. "Stop that, it's annoying." Katsuki grabbed his arm, and Izuku froze, not wanting to get burned like he had seen so many of their classmates get burned by that quirk. But all Katsuki did was let go of him and roll his eyes. "Meet our dad. He's a dork." "All Might is your dad?" All Might shrugged. Katsuki shot a glare at the top hero. "We watched you for a few days, but we couldn't get close enough to really tell what you were doing out here." All Might sighed. "I figured you would find out sooner or later. I'm training young Midoriya to take on my quirk." "But," Izuku broke in, "but why not give your quirk to one of your actual kids? I mean, Kachan and Shochan both have great quirks. They'd probably be better options than me. I'm just a random—" Neito broke into even more laughter at that second nickname. "We didn't want it," Katsuki explained. "We've got our own quirks, and we didn't even ask for them. We don't want that kind of power anyway." "But," Izuku still tried to search for an argument, "at least if you get a quirk, you'd probably be able to do something helpful in dangerous situations, rather than be the first one to die." "Katsuki, All Might scolded, his voice pointed but gentle. No death. Come on, but he's no death. Izuku glanced between them, Katsuki scowling, defiant but not saying a word, and All Might, a deep-set stare in his angular face. Neito laughed, breaking into the tense moment. You could have told me you didn't have a quirk, Gachan. Maybe then I wouldn't have. The rest of the sentence was in the language Izuku didn't recognize. He'd heard Katsuki and Shouto mention at some point during school that they were adopted, so he figured this could be their native language. Their accents were admittedly weird, but he had just put it down to them being from a rural part of Japan he wasn't familiar with. He made a mental note to research what other Asian languages sounded like. Maybe he would hit on where they were from. That's your own fault, Katsuki rebuked Neito. His brother sighed dramatically, and his next words had an upward lilt to them at the end, like in a question. Katsuki raised an eyebrow. Course not. What kind of idiot do you think I am? He's just picked up on what mine and Shouto's are. All Might glanced between the two brothers, looking about as lost as Izuku when Neito responded, yet again in that foreign language. Aldera allows quirk usage. Katsuki brushed him off, as if Neito was just speaking normal Japanese. The whole school knew what our quirks were after that first week. As Neito started to respond, All Might put a hand on his shoulder, making him pause. You two are distracting young Midoriya from his training. We only have so many hours in a day, and he needs to be ready to take my quirk by the time he takes UA's entrance exam. Izuku could not express in words how thankful he was to be given a break from processing what the heck was going on. At the end of a long day of training, as the sky began to turn pink and orange with the sunset, All Might presented him with a bento and juice box. It's nothing homemade, he said as he handed him the items, but I can't send you home like that without giving you something to eat, so my kids brought you these from the kombini. Come sit over here, they're waiting for you. Izuku followed All Might a little farther, and he found Katsuki and Neito sitting on a low wall, similar bentos in their hands. Gachan? He blinked, surprised his classmate had stuck around. Just like all the rest of his classmates, Katsuki and Shouto had never made much of an effort to make friends with him, although he had spoken to them a few times in passing about school stuff. The nicknames he used had come about partly from other kids teasing, and partly from a way to tell them apart. Eat up, nerd, and appreciate the food, Katsuki snapped at him. Neito laughed. I texted our sisters and they want to meet you too, Midoriya, he said. You should come over to our house for dinner tomorrow. Gachan's cooking is to die for. Really? Despite his surprise at people his age inviting him to do something with them and sticking around to eat with him, Izuku smiled. Thanks. Let me walk you home when you're done eating, All Might offered. I know I kept you with your training, and it's later than when I usually send you home. Yeah, okay. Izuku never knew the top number 1 hero had kids, but not long after the day he met them, he felt sort of like he had been adopted into the eccentric family too. End of Chapter 2.